In the year 2147, Earth had finally found its place among the stars. Humans did not arrive with grand ships or powerful weapons. At first, they came slowly after many hard years of fighting to survive. Other species in the galaxy watched them with caution. Some thought humans were too stubborn, others said they were too fragile, but no one could deny that humans kept going, even when everything looked lost. The Valoran Empire was one of the oldest and strongest powers in known space. Its people were tall, with smooth silver blue skin and eyes that glowed softly in dim light. They ruled many worlds with strict order and advanced science. Their biotech could grow cities from seeds and heal wounds in minutes. But even the mighty Valoran Empire had enemies. Pirate fleets roamed the outer borders, growing bolder each year. The pirates took ships, stole resources, and left broken colonies behind. To stop the pirates, the Empire needed stronger friends. The humans of Earth had proven they could fight. Their small fleet had held off larger forces in past wars. So the Valoran leaders decided on an old way to make peace sure: a marriage between their royal family and a human. Princess Lurel Voss was chosen for this duty. She was third in line to the throne. Her mother, the Empress, had two older children already married to important nobles. Lurel was smart, brave, and trained in war and politics. She did not like the idea of marrying for politics, but she understood it was her responsibility. She wanted to help her people and keep the empire safe. The humans agreed to the marriage quickly. They sent a list of possible husbands. Most were officers or leaders from important families, but one name stood out because it was so plain: Daniel Hayes. He was a logistics officer on the Coalition space station near Earth. Space, his file said. Little, born in a small town in the middle of America. Good at organizing supplies. No wife, no children, no big awards listed. The Valoran diplomats looked at the name and nodded. A quiet man would not cause trouble. He would not try to take power or make demands. He was perfect for a simple alliance marriage. Lel read Daniel's file too. She saw a photo of a man with short brown hair, calm green eyes, and a small polite smile. He looked ordinary, not tall like Valorans, not strong-looking, just a normal human. She closed the file and thought, he will stay in the background. That is good. The wedding was set for a neutral place orbital platform Zeta 4. It floated between Earth and Valoran space. No big ceremony, no crowds, only a few diplomats, some guards, and two small groups from each side. On the day of the wedding, Leal arrived first. She wore long silver robe that shimmered like water. A thin crown of white crystals sat on her dark hair. Her guards stood tall behind her. She felt calm, but also a little bored. This was just another duty. Then Daniel arrived. He wore simple dark blue uniform with the Earth Coalition symbol on the shoulder. No medals, no fancy decorations. He walked with steady steps, not fast, not slow. When he saw Lurel, he stopped and gave a small bow, not too deep, just enough to show respect. The ceremony began. Neutral AI voice read the words of the alliance treaty. Then came the personal vows. Lurel spoke first. Her voice was clear and strong. I, Lurel Voss, promise to honor this union for the peace and safety of our peoples. I will stand by my husband in public and private matters, as the alliance requires. She looked at Daniel. He listened carefully. When it Was his turn, he spoke in a quiet voice. I, Daniel Hayes, promise the same. I will do my best to support the Alliance and respect your people, that was all. No long speech, no poetry, just simple words. They exchanged rings, lie rails. Ring was a thin band of Valoran crystal that glowed softly. Daniel's ring was plain silver with a small earth blue stone in the center. They placed the rings on each other's fingers. The A announced the marriage complete. After the short ceremony, there was a small meal in the station's dining hall. Lurel sat at the head table with Daniel. Beside her, Valoran nobles talked loudly about trade deals and fleet plans. Human officers spoke quietly about supply routes and repair schedules. Lyrel turned to Daniel once. Do you like the food? She asked. He looked at the plate of Valoran fruit and spiced meat. It's different but good, he said. Thank you. He ate slowly and did not speak again, unless someone asked him something. Lyra watched him. He answered every question politely. He never interrupted. He never tried to impress anyone. When a Valoran lord asked about human weapons, Daniel said only, they work when we need them to. Then he went back to eating. One of the human officers, a woman named Laura, leaned close to Daniel and whispered something. He nodded and smiled a little. Lur noticed the smile. It was small and real, not forced. She wondered what Laura said, but she did not ask. After the meal, it was time to leave. Leal would take Daniel to Valoria Prime, the heart of her empire. Her personal ship waited in the docking bay. It was large and beautiful, shaped like a long silver leaf. Daniel carried only one small bag. No servants, no extra boxes, just one bag. Lel looked at it. Is that all you need? She asked. Yes, he answered. I don't need much. She thought this was strange. Most people brought more things when moving to a new world, but she said nothing. They walked to the ship together. Guards from both sides followed at a distance. When they reached the entrance, Lel stopped. This ship will take us home, she said. My home. You will live there now too. Daniel nodded. I understand, he said. He did not look nervous. He did not look excited. He just looked calm. Inside the ship, Lurel showed him to his quarters. They were next to hers, connected by a small door. The room was large with soft lights, wide bed, and a window that looked at the stars. If you need anything, tell the ship AI, she said. It speaks your language. Thank you, Daniel said. He put his bag on the floor and looked out the window for a moment. Then he turned to her. I know this marriage is for politics, he said quietly. I won't make things hard for you. Luriel was surprised by his direct words. Most people did not speak so plainly. Then we will get along. She left him to settle in. As the ship began its journey, Leal went to the command deck. She stood at the front window and watched the stars move past. She felt the weight of her duty. She was now married to a human she barely knew, a quiet man from a small planet. She thought about what life would be like on Valoria Prime. The court was full of powerful people. They would watch Daniel. They would test him. They would probably laugh at him behind his back, but if he stayed quiet and out of the way, everything would be fine. She did not know that Daniel Hayes had once stood alone against impossible odds. She did not know that in the old war, when hope was gone, he had held a small outpost for days with nothing but his mind and his hands. She did not know that some humans still told stories about the man who never gave up and Never asked for praise, to her he was just a quiet husband chosen for an alliance. The ship flew on through the dark. Laurel went to her own room and tried to sleep. Daniel sat in his new quarters looking at the stars. He thought about his old life. He thought about the future. Then he closed his eyes and rested. Neither of them spoke much during the long trip. They ate meals together. Sometimes they talked about small things. The weather on Valoria Prime, the taste of human coffee, the way Valoran plants grew without soil. Nothing deep, nothing personal. Leo decided she liked his quiet way. It was better than loud men who wanted attention. Daniel decided she was strong and fair. That was enough for him. When the ship finally reached Valoria Prime, the planet appeared below them like a jewel of blue, green, and silver. Towers of crystal rose high into the clouds. Flying vehicles moved between them like birds. Leo stood on the bridge and pointed. That is our home, she said. Daniel looked down and nodded. Once, it's beautiful, he said simply. The ship landed smoothly. Guards waited outside. A crowd of nobles and officials stood in neat lines. Music played from hidden speakers. Laurel stepped out first. Daniel followed a step behind her. The nobles bowed to the princess. Then they looked at the human husband. Some smiled politely, others raised eyebrows. A few whispered to each other. Daniel walked forward with calm steps. He kept his face peaceful. He did not look left or right. He just followed Laurel into the palace. Inside the great hall, the empress waited on her throne. She was tall and wise with eyes that saw everything. She looked at her daughter, then at Daniel. Welcome, Daniel Hayes, she said. You are now part of our family. Daniel bowed. Thank you, Your Majesty, he said. I will do my best to honor that. The empress nodded. She liked his simple answer. Leo felt a small relief. At least the first meeting went well. That night there was a quiet dinner for the family. No big party yet, just close relatives and a few advisors. Daniel sat next to Lyle. He listened more than he spoke. When someone asked about Earth, he gave short, clear answers. Lyle watched him again. He never tried to shine. He never looked for praise. He was just there, steady and calm. She thought, maybe this will not be so bad. She had no idea how wrong that thought would turn out to be. The ship landed gently on the wide platform outside the imperial palace. Warm air rushed in when the doors opened. Leo stepped out first. Daniel followed right behind her. The palace was huge. Towers of clear crystal caught the sunlight and sent rainbows across the ground. Green plants climbed the walls like living decorations. In the air, small flying machines hummed softly as they carried messages or small packages. A line of guards in shining armor stood straight. They raised their weapons in salute when Laurel appeared. Behind them waited nobles in bright robes. Some had long capes that moved like water even when there was no wind. They all bowed low. Their eyes moved quickly to the human walking beside the princess. Daniel kept his face calm. He did not stare. He did not smile too much. He just walked with even steps and kept his hands at his sides. Elrail led him through the main gates. The floor inside was smooth stone that felt warm under their feet. Soft lights came from the walls, not from lamps. The air smelled clean like fresh rain mixed with flowers. This is the Grand Hall, Lael said quietly. You will see it often. Daniel looked up at the high ceiling. It was painted with moving pictures of stars and old battles. The pictures changed slowly. Like clouds, it's impressive, he said. They walked on, servants appeared from side doors, they carried trays or cleaned quietly, none of them spoke to Daniel. They only looked at him once or twice, then looked away. Lur took him to their private wing. It was high up in one of the towers. The rooms were large and open. Big windows showed the city. Below, flying bridges connected buildings like silver threads. Your room is here, Lel said. She opened a door. Inside was a wide bed, soft chairs, a desk, and shelves already filled with books in both Valorium and Earth languages. A small table held fresh fruit and water. Daniel set his single bag on the floor. Thank you, he said. This is more than enough. Lee watched him. If you want anything changed, tell me or tell the house AI. It listens to your voice now. He nodded. I will remember. She left him to unpack. Daniel opened his bag. He took out 3 shirts, 2 pairs of pants, a small notebook, and a few personal items. One was a photo of his old hometown, a quiet street with trees and a wooden house. He set it on the desk, then he sat on the bed for a moment, looking out at the strange new world. That evening, Leo came back. She wore a simpler robe now, dark blue with silver lines. Come, she said, we eat with my family tonight. Daniel followed her down long halls. They entered a smaller dining room. Long tables stood in the center. The Empress sat at one end. Lur's older brother, Prince Kale, sat on her root. Her sister, Lady Mira, sat on the left. A few advisors were there too. Everyone stood when LRA entered. They bowed to her, then looked at Daniel. The Empress spoke first. Sit, Daniel Hayes, you are welcome here. Daniel bowed a little. Thank you, Your Majesty. He sat next to Leo. The food came in quiet waves. Bowls of glowing blue soup, thin slices of meat that smelled sweet, vegetables that looked like flowers, small cakes made from something soft and warm. Daniel ate carefully. He tried everything. He did not make faces. He did not complain. Prince Kale looked at him. Tell us about Earth, human. Is it true your world has only one moon? Daniel swallowed his bite. Yes, just one. It's enough to make the tides move. Kale laughed a short laugh. One moon. How strange. We have 3 they make the nights brighter. Daniel nodded. 3 would be nice sometimes. Lady Mira leaned forward. Do humans really fight with metal machines? No biotech at all. We use some biotech now, Daniel said, but most of our tools are still metal and wires. They work well. Mira smiled like she did not believe him. How simple. Daniel did not answer. He just took another bite. After dinner, Laurel walked with him back to their rooms. You did well, she said. They can be sharp with words. I noticed, Daniel said, but words are just words. She looked at him. You do not get angry easily. No point in it, he answered. The next days passed quietly. Laurel had duties every morning, meetings with advisors, talks about trade, plans for new ships. She left Daniel alone most of the time. He did not sit still. He walked the palace halls. He learned where things were, kitchens, gardens, repair rooms, storage areas. He asked the house AI simple questions. How do you track food supplies? How long do the power cells last? The AI answered. Clear English. One afternoon, Daniel found the main supply office. It was a large room full of screens and workers. Boxes moved on floating platforms. People shouted Orders, papers, and tablets lay everywhere. Daniel stood in the door and watched. A Valoran worker named Torin saw him. "You are the princess's husband?" "Yes," Daniel said. Torin looked unsure. "Do you need something?" "No," Daniel said, "just looking." Torin went back to work, but Daniel stayed. He noticed things. One worker ran back and forth carrying heavy crates because the lift was broken. Another searched for hours because labels were wrong. A big list on the wall showed food orders, but half the numbers did not match. Daniel did not say anything that day. He went back to his room and wrote notes in his small book. The next morning he went back to the supply office. Torin was there again. "Can I help?" Daniel asked. Torin frowned. "Help? You are a guest." "I know supplies," Daniel said. "I did it for years." Torin looked around. No one was watching closely. "All right. See that pile? We need to sort it by date, oldest first." Daniel started working. He moved fast but carefully. He read the labels. He asked questions when he did not understand a word. By the end of the hour, the pile was neat. Torin stared. "You work like you have done this before." "I have," Daniel said. Word spread slowly. The quiet human was in the supply rooms. He fixed small problems. He moved boxes without complaint. He never asked for thanks. He never told anyone what to do. He just showed how to do it better. Laurel heard about it from an advisor. "Your husband is helping in the lower levels." The advisor said. Laurel raised an eyebrow. "Doing what?" "Organizing, carrying, talking to workers." She found Daniel that evening. He was washing his hands in their shared bathroom. His sleeves were rolled up. "You are working in the supply room?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "Why?" "They needed help. I know how." Lel crossed her arms. "You are my consort, not a worker." Daniel dried his hands. "I like to stay busy. Sitting all day is hard for me." She studied him. "Do not make trouble." "I won't," he promised. But he kept going. Every few days he appeared in different places. He helped fix a broken water line in the gardens. He showed cooks how to store earth spices so they stayed fresh longer. He even helped a young engineer understand why one engine kept losing power. Daniel drew a simple picture on a tablet. "See, here the flow is blocked. Move this part over 2 in." The engineer tried it. The engine ran smooth after that. At first they said, "The human is strange. He works like a servant." Then they said, "He is useful." Then some said, "He is smart in a quiet way." Laurel noticed changes too. Meals came faster. Waste went down. The palace ran smoother. No one said it was because of Daniel. They said the workers were doing better, but Laurel knew. One night she found him in the garden. He sat on a stone bench under a tree with purple leaves. He held an old earth book. She sat beside him. "You are changing things," she said. "Not much," he answered. "More than you think." He closed the book. "I just see problems and fix them, that's all." Leo looked at the stars above. "My people think humans are weak, soft, too emotional." Daniel smiled a little. "Some are, some aren't. You aren't." "I try not to be." She turned to him. "Tell me about your past." "The war." Daniel looked down at the book. "I was in logistics, supply runs, keeping bases running. That is all. That is enough." She did not push. "Not yet." Weeks turned into months. Daniel learned more Valoran words. He spoke them with care. People started to greet him by name, not as the human but as Daniel. Leo began to feel Something new, not love yet, not even. Close but comfort when she came back. Tired from long meetings, Daniel was. There he listened, he made small suggestions, maybe try this route for the next shipment, it saves 2 days. She started to listen, sometimes she used his ideas, no one knew they came from him. That was fine with Daniel. One day news came, pirate ships attacked a small colony on the edge of Valoran. Space, 3 ships lost, many hurt. The court buzzed with worry. Lur stood in the war room with her mother and brother. We need to send help, the Empress said. Lyriel nodded. I can lead a small fleet, show strength. Daniel was not in the room, but later when Lyriel told him, he listened quietly. Be careful with the supply ships, he said. If the pirates hit them first, the fighters will run out of power fast. Lyriel remembered his words when she planned the mission. She ordered extra guards on the supply line. The mission went well. The pirates ran when they saw the Valoran ships. No losses this time. When Elriel returned, she found Daniel waiting in their quarters. He had tea ready, human tea. He had asked the kitchen to make it. She took the cup. It went fine, she said. Good, he answered. She sat down. Your advice helped, he shrugged. Just common sense. Lyriel looked at him for a long time. She saw the calm in his eyes, the steady way he held himself. For the first time she wondered if there was more to him than she thought, but she pushed the thought away. He was still just her quiet husband, useful, polite, safe. She did not know the storm that was coming. She did not know how wrong her thoughts were. Daniel finished his tea and looked out the window. The stars were bright. Tonight he thought of old battles, old friends, old promises he made to himself. He stayed quiet in the palace, kept turning smoother now because of the man no one really noticed. Months passed. On Valoria Prime, life settled into a steady rhythm. Lyriel spent her days in council rooms and command centers. She reviewed reports, planned patrols, and spoke with fleet captains. The Empire felt calm on the surface. Trade ships moved without trouble. Colonies grew. But under that calm, something dark was building far away. Daniel kept his quiet ways. He helped in the palace stores when no one important was watching. He fixed small machines that broke. He listened to workers talk about their families and their worries. They started to trust him. A cook named Vara began saving him extra portions of the spiced bread he liked. An old mechanic named Jor showed him how Valoran engines used living crystals for power. Daniel listened and learned. He never bragged. He never asked for anything back. Lur noticed how the palace felt different. Now things ran smoother, fewer arguments in the lower halls. Supplies arrived on time. She sometimes thought it was because the staff worked harder. Other times she looked at Daniel across the dinner table and wondered if he had something to do with it, but she never asked. It seemed too small to mention. Then the first bad news came. A scout ship returned early from the outer rim. Its hull was black from laser burns. The pilot, a young Valoran named Soren, ran straight to the lore room. Lyriel was there with her mother and brother. Daniel was not invited to such meetings. He stayed in their quarters, reading an old Earth history book. Soren spoke fast. Raiders hit 3 outposts at once. They used new weapons, fast ships. They took everything, fuel, food, even the people. Then they left messages. They said the Valorian Empire is weak. Now they plan to take more. The Empress sat still. Her face showed no fear, but her fingers tightened on the arm of her chair. How many ships? Prince Kael asked. At least 40 main vessels, Soren said, and hundreds of small fighters. They move like a swarm. Lyle felt cold in her chest. Do we know who leads them? A warlord named Varkas. Soren answered. He was once a Valorant officer. He left years ago. Now he hates us. He has captured one of our old cruisers and uses it as his command ship. The room went quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. A captured Valorant ship meant the raiders had inside knowledge. They knew weak points. They knew codes. They could hurt the Empire badly. Empress spoke slowly. We must respond fast and strong. Lyle, you will take command of the relief fleet. 10 heavy cruisers, 20 support ships, and 4 squadrons of fighters. Protect the remaining outposts. Push the raiders back. Lyle stood straight. I will not fail. Prince Kael looked at her. Take what you need, but do not lose too many ships. We cannot afford big losses. Lyle nodded. She left the war room with her mind already making plans. That night, she found Daniel in their shared sitting room. He was looking at a star map on a small screen. The map showed the outer rim in red and yellow lights. You heard? She asked. Yes, he said. The workers talk. They are scared. Lel sat across from him. I am leading a fleet to stop it. Daniel looked up. His green eyes were steady. How many ships do the raiders have? More than we expected. Around 40 big ones. He nodded slowly. They will try to hit your supply line first. If they cut off fuel and parts, your fighters cannot stay in the fight long. Lel frowned. We have strong escorts on the supply ships. Escorts can be pulled away, Daniel said quietly. Raiders like to fake attacks on one side, then strike the weak spot. She watched him. You sound like you have seen this before. I have seen supply wars, he said. They are not pretty. Lurl stood up. Come with me. Daniel raised an eyebrow to the fleet. Yes. Not to fight, to handle logistics on my flagship. You know supplies better than most. He thought for a moment. Then he nodded. If you think it will help, it will, she said. The next week was busy. Ships gathered at the main orbital dock. Huge cruisers floated like silver mountains. Smaller fighters darted between them like insects. Crews loaded crates. Engineers checked engines. Lurl walked the decks of her flagship, the Dawn Blade. It was long and sharp with glowing blue lines along its sides. Daniel came aboard quietly. He carried his same small bag. A young officer named Ren showed him to the logistics deck. It was a big room full of screens, tables, and people shouting orders. Ren looked at Daniel. You are the princess's husband? Yes. Ren smiled a little. Welcome. We are busy here. Daniel looked around. He saw the same problems he had seen in the palace. Crates stacked wrong, lists not updated, people running in circles. He started small. He asked one worker, where do you keep the spare power cells? The worker pointed. Daniel went there. He moved a few boxes so the newest ones were easiest to reach. Then he fixed a screen that showed wrong numbers. He did not tell anyone to do it. He just did it. By the time the fleet left the dock, the logistics deck ran better. No one said thank you. They just worked faster. The journey to the battle zone took 8 days. During that time, scouts sent reports every few hours. The raiders were moving closer. They hit another small station. No survivors. Lel spent most of her time on the bridge. She studied maths. She talked to captains. She tried to look strong. For her crew, Daniel stayed on the logistics deck. He predicted needs. Before people asked, he sent extra medical kits to the forward ships. He rerouted fuel so no ship ran low. When a fighter squadron reported engine trouble, he found the part they needed in storage and had it sent over fast. One evening, Lel came down to check on him. She found him sitting at a table, drawing lines on a map. "What is that?" she asked. "Possible raider paths," he said. "They like to hide in nebula. Dust clouds block sensors. If they come from here," he pointed, "they can hit our flank before we see them." Lel looked at the map. "My advisors say the same." Daniel shrugged. "It is not hard to guess if you watch patterns. You do not talk much about the war you were in." "Not much to say," he answered. "Tell me one thing," she said. "Just one." He looked at her for a long time. Then he spoke softly. "I learned that when things go wrong, the quiet ones keep things moving. The loud ones get people killed." Leal thought about that. She stood up. "Get some rest. We reached the zone in 2 days." He nodded. The fleet dropped out of faster than light travel. Near a dark nebula, stars looked faint. Through the thick dust, sensors blinked with warnings, too much interference. Leal stood on the bridge. All ships battle ready. Fighters launch. Fighter bays opened. Small ships poured out like sparks. Then the raiders appeared. First a few scouts, then more, then the main force. 40 big ships, just like the report said. In the center was the captured Valoran cruiser. It looked wrong now, painted black with red spikes added like claws. The enemy opened fire. Lasers cut through space. Shields flared blue and white. Lel gave orders. "Form defensive line. Protect the supply ships. Push forward." The battle started. Slow. Valoran ships were strong, but the raiders were fast and tricky. They darted in, fired, then pulled back. They tried to split the fleet. Daniel watched from the logistics deck. He saw the screens showed damage reports. One cruiser lost an engine. Another had holes in its hull. Supply ships were falling behind. He spoke to the deck officer. "Tell the rear guard to tighten up. The raiders will try to cut them off." The officer sent the message. It helped. The supply line held for now. But the raiders kept coming. They focused on one spot. They hit a support ship hard. It exploded in a bright flash. Pieces flew everywhere. Lel felt the shock on the bridge. She clenched her fists. "We cannot lose more." On the logistics deck, Daniel looked at the main screen. He saw the captured cruiser. In the middle, something about it looked familiar. The shape, the way it moved. He asked the AI, "What class is that?" "Captured ship, Class E7 Dreadnought," the AI said. "Lost in action 7 years ago. Near Outpost Gamma 9. Daniel went still. Gamma 9. He knew that name too well. He stood up. "I need to speak to the princess." The officer looked surprised. Now, Daniel said. They let him go to the bridge. Leal saw him enter. "Daniel, what is it?" He walked close. His voice was low but clear. "That ship in the center, the captured one. I know it." Leal stared. "How?" "I was there when it was lost," he said. "I was on Gamma 9. Bridge crew turned to look at him. No one spoke. Leal felt something shift inside her. What happened on Gamma 9? Daniel looked at the screen. The black ship fired again. "I stayed behind," he said. "Everyone else left. I held the line so the transports could escape. 72 hours alone." Lyriel opened her mouth, but no words came. Daniel kept looking at the captured ship, the captain who took it. He knows the old codes, the ones we used. Back then he turned to her, let me use the comms, one old frequency just once. Leal looked into his eyes. For the first time she saw something hard behind the calm, not anger, not fear, just certainty. She nodded. Do it, Daniel. Went to the comm station. He typed a short code, then he spoke into the mic. His voice was quiet, the same voice he always used. This is the last survivor of Gamma 9. Stand down, Varkas, or I come for you next. He sent it on the old human emergency band, the one no one else used anymore. On the bridge, everyone waited, far away on the black cruiser. The raider captain froze. He knew that voice, he knew that code. He had heard stories, the ghost who would not die, the man who held a station with traps and tricks until help came. Varkas looked at his screams, then he gave an order. All ships pull back. Full retreat. The raider fleet hesitated. Then they turned, engines flared, they ran into the nebula and disappeared. The Valoran ship stopped firing. Silence filled the bridge. Lee looked at Daniel. He stood there, hands at his sides, face calm again. She walked to him. What did you just do? I reminded him of something he wanted to forget. Daniel said the battle was over, the raiders fled. The outposts were safe for now. But on the flagship, everyone looked at the quiet human differently. Lero felt her heart beat fast. She had brought him to keep supplies running. She never thought he would end the fight with words. She did not know the full story yet, but she knew one thing she had been wrong about. The bridge of the Dawn Blade went completely silent after Daniel spoke. Into the comms, every officer stared at the main screen. The Black Raider ships still filled the view, their weapons glowing red. Then slowly the captured dreadnought in the center stopped firing. Its engines flared once, bright and angry, but instead of charging forward, it began to turn. One by one the other raider vessels followed. They pulled back into the thick dust of the nebula. Their lights grew smaller until they vanished completely. Lero stood frozen. Her hands were still tight on the command rail. She turned to Daniel. His face looked the same as always. Calm, no smile, no frown, just steady green eyes watching the empty space where the enemy had been. What happened? She asked. Her voice came out quieter than she meant. Daniel stepped away from the comm station. They left. I saw that, Leal said. Why? He looked at her for a long moment. Some things are better left in the past, but sometimes the past comes back to remind people. The bridge crew started to move again. Officers checked sensors. Reports came in fast. No pursuit, no traps. The raiders were really gone. Cheers broke out on some decks. But on the bridge, everyone stayed quiet, watching. The princess and the human husband, Lyrel, gave orders to stand down. Fighters returned to their bays. Damaged ships moved into protective formation. Then she turned fully to Daniel. Bridge is yours for a minute, she told the first officer. Come with me. She walked out into the short corridor behind the bridge. Daniel followed without a word. The door closed behind them. The corridor was empty except for soft blue lights along the walls. Lyrel faced him. Talk now. What was Gamma 9 and why did one message from you make a warlord run? Daniel leaned against the wall. He looked tired, but not from the battle. The tiredness was older. 7 years ago he began the first real war between humans, and some outer factions ended. We were losing ground. Outpost Gamma 9 was the last stop before they reached our main colonies. It was a supply station, not fortress, small crew, old guns. When the enemy came, the order was given to evacuate. Everyone left on the last transports, everyone except me. Leal listened. She did not interrupt. I stayed. Daniel continued. I told the commander I could buy them time. He argued. I did not listen, so I stayed. Alone, 72 hours, no sleep, no help. I used what was there. Old mines broken. Drones, fuel lines I turned into traps. I made the enemy think a whole company was still fighting. They kept coming. I kept holding. On the third day, a human relief fleet arrived. They found the outpost still standing. Most of the enemy ships were damaged or destroyed. I was not in good shape but alive. His voice stayed, even like he was reading a report. Lee felt something tight in her chest. Why did no one tell me this? Because I asked them not to, Daniel said. When the war ended, I left the service. I took a quiet job, logistics, paperwork, no parades, no medals on my chest. I wanted to forget. Most people thought I died in the last fight. That was easier. But the raider captain knew you, Lee said. Daniel nodded. Varkas was there that day, not the leader then, just a lieutenant on one of the attacking ships. He saw what happened. He heard the stories later. The ghost of Gamma 9. The man who would not leave. He believed I was dead when he heard my voice on that old frequency using the same code we used back then. He thought the ghost came back. Laurel stared at him. You ended a battle with words, not words, Daniel said. Memory, fear is a strong weapon when you know how to use it. All this time you let me think you were just a supply officer, quiet, ordinary. I am, he said, most days. Lel shook her head. No, you are not. She turned away for a moment, looking down the empty corridor. Her mind raced. Every small thing he had done, the way he fixed problems without asking, the way he never looked for praise, the way he stayed calm when others panicked, suddenly made sense. It was not weakness, it was control, the control of someone who had faced real terror and walked away. She looked back at him. Why did you come with me? You could have stayed safe on Valoria Prime. Because you asked, he said simply, and because if things went wrong, I did not want you facing it alone. Leal felt warmth rise in her face. She did not know what to call the feeling. Yet gratitude, respect, something deeper. Come back to the bridge, she said. They need to see you. Daniel shook his head. No, let them think it was luck or good tactics. I do not need them staring, but they should know. They do not. He cut in gently. Let it stay quiet, please. She studied his face. She saw the same small lines around his eyes that she had never noticed before. Marks of long nights and hard choices. All right, she said at last. For now. They returned to the bridge. The crew clapped. When Laurel entered, she raised a hand to quiet them. We won today, she said. Because we stood together, because we did not break. Return to formation, set course for the nearest safe outpost. We will repair and regroup. The crew went back to work. No one asked about the human, no one dared. Over the next hours, reports came in. The raiders had scattered. Varkas' fleet was in full retreat toward uncharted space. Captured dreadnought had powered down its weapons completely. Scouts said it looked abandoned in a hurry. Lel stayed on the bridge until the fleet was secure. Then she went to her private quarters. Daniel was already there. He sat by the small window looking at the stars. He had made 2 cups of human tea. Steam rose from them. She sat across from him. You saved us, she said. No, he answered, the fleet saved us. I just gave them a reason to leave. She took the tea. It was warm in her hands. You could have told me from the beginning. Daniel looked into his cup. I did not want you to see me as a weapon or a story. I wanted you to see me as me. Leal set her cup down. She reached across the small table and touched his hand. Her silver blue fingers rested on his skin. He did not pull away. I see you now, she said softly. He looked up. For the first time since they met, his calm mask slipped just a little. A small, real smile touched his lips. Good, he said. They sat in silence for a long time. The ship hummed around them. Stars moved past the window in slow streaks. Later, Lurl sent a short message to the Empress. Victory, no major losses. The raiders broken. She did not mention Daniel's part. She knew he would not want it, but in her heart something had changed. The quiet man she married for duty was no longer just a duty. He was something more, something she had never expected. The fleet turned toward home. Repairs continued, crews rested, stories spread quietly among the lower decks. The human husband spoke on the comms. The enemy ran. No one knew why, but they felt safer because of it. Daniel went back to the logistics deck the next day. He checked lists, he moved crates, he answered questions in his usual quiet way. No one treated him differently. He made sure of that, but Lyra watched him from the doorway. Sometimes she saw the steady hands, the careful eyes, the man who carried a whole war inside him and never let it show. She thought about their wedding day, the simple vows, the small smile. She had thought he was nothing special. Now she knew better. The battle was over, but for Leal, something new was beginning. She walked up to him one evening on the logistics deck. The room was almost empty. Daniel, she said. He looked up from a tablet. When we get home, she said, things will be different. He waited. I will not treat you like a shadow anymore, she continued. You will stand beside me, not behind. He thought about it. Then he nodded once. All right, he said, but I still like fixing things. She smiled. Real smile. Then fix them, but let me stand with you while you do. He set the tablet down. Deal. They walked back to their quarters together, side by side. Not princess and consort, not anymore. Just Lyral and Daniel. The stars outside kept shining. The ship flew on, and somewhere in the dark, a warlord still heard a voice in his dreams, a quiet voice, a voice that promised he would come again if needed. But for now the quiet human rested, and the princess beside him began to understand what strength really looked like. The dawn blade returned to Valoria Prime under clear skies. The planet looked peaceful. From orbit, blue oceans, green continents, silver cities shining in the sun. The fleet docked slowly. Repair cranes moved like giant arms. Crews stepped onto the platforms, tired but smiling. They had won. No one expected such an easy end to the fight. Leal stood on the main ramp as the ship opened. She wore her formal silver robe. Again, a thin crown rested on her hair. Daniel walked beside her, still in his simple dark uniform. He carried nothing but the small bag he always had. Guards lined both sides. They saluted sharply. Their eyes flicked to the human husband with new respect. Word had spread fast. On the lower decks, the quiet man had spoken once and the raiders fled. No one knew the full story, but they felt it. Something big had happened. The Empress waited at the palace entrance. She stood tall on the wide steps. Prince Kael and Lady Mira stood with her. Behind them waited nobles, advisors, and reporters. From the Empire news feeds, cameras floated above like small glowing orbs. Leah walked forward first. She bowed too. Her mother, Daniel, bowed a step behind her. The Empress spoke in a strong voice that carried across the platform. Princess Lyriel Voss, you have returned. Victorious, the raiders are broken, our borders are safe again, the Empire thanks you. Lyriel lifted her head. It was not me alone, mother. The fleet fought well. Every ship, every crew member did their part. The Empress looked past her to Daniel, her glowing eyes studied him carefully. And you, Daniel Hayes, she said, you stand here beside my daughter. What part did you play? Daniel met her gaze. His voice stayed quiet but clear. I helped where I could, Your Majesty, nothing more. A low murmur moved through the crowd. Some nobles smiled politely, others looked confused. The Empress raised one hand for silence. Stories reach even the throne, she said. They say a single voice on an old frequency turned the battle. They say the raiders ran from a name they feared. Is this true? Daniel did not answer right away. He looked at Leah. She gave a small nod. He spoke again. Some old fears die hard. I used one, that is all. The Empress stepped down one step. She stood closer now. Then you are more than a consort, she said. You are a shield to this empire. We will not forget. She turned to the crowd. Let it be known, Daniel Hayes, husband of Princess Lyriel, helped save our people. Honor him as you honor any warrior. Applause started slow, then grew. Nobles clapped. Guards raised their weapons high. Even the floating cameras zoomed in. Daniel looked uncomfortable. He gave a small bow and stepped back half a step. Lyriel reached out and took his hand. She held it firm. In front of everyone, the crowd noticed. Whispers spread. After the welcome, they walked inside. The great hall felt different now. People bowed deeper when Daniel passed. Servants smiled at him. Vara the cook waited near the dining wing with a tray of fresh spiced bread. For you, she said quietly. Thank you. Daniel took one piece. Thank you. Vara. Lyriel led him to their private tower. The door closed behind them. Room was quiet. Sunlight came through the big window and made patterns on the floor. She turned to him. Her voice was soft. I should have known sooner, she said. I treated you like furniture. Something useful but not important. Daniel shook his head. You treated me like a person. That was enough. No, she said. It was not. I looked at you and saw silence. I thought silence meant weakness. I was wrong. He sat on the edge of the bed. Silence is just quiet. It does not mean empty. Lyle sat beside him. Tell me the rest about Gamma 9. I want to understand. Daniel looked out the window for a long time. Then he spoke. The outpost was small. Metal walls, cold air. When the transports left, the silence was loud. I set traps with what I had. Wires across doors. Fuel cans rigged to explode. Broken guns turned into mines. I moved fast. I made noise on purpose. I let them think in. Army waited. Every hour felt like days. I talked to myself sometimes, told myself one more hour, just one more. On the last day, my hands shook so bad I could barely hold the tools, but I kept going. When the relief ships came, I was sitting on the floor covered in blood. Not all mine. They carried me out. I woke up in a hospital. They said I was a hero. I said no, heroes die pretty. I just survived. Luriel listened without moving. Tears gathered in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. You carry that alone, she said. I carried it until I could put it down. I put it down when I met you, or tried to. She reached for his hand again. This time she held it tight. I will not let you carry it alone anymore, she said. He looked at her. I do not need parades. I do not need titles. I know, she said, but you deserve truth and respect and love. The word hung in the air. Daniel blinked once, then he smiled, the small, real smile she had seen on their wedding day. I think I can handle that, he said. They sat together until the sun moved lower. Then Lel stood. Come, she said, walk with me. They left the tower. They walked through the gardens. Purple leaves moved in the breeze. Flowers opened and closed like breathing. People saw them. Some bowed, some just smiled and kept working. Lel stopped a stone bench under a tall tree. This is where I used to sit alone, she said, before you came. Now I know it is not. Daniel sat beside her. Duty is heavy, but shared it gets lighter. She leaned against his shoulder. He did not move away. That night the palace held a quiet dinner, not a big party, just family and close friends. The Empress sat at the head. She raised a glass. To peace, she said, and to the people who guard it even when no one sees. Everyone drank. Daniel drank too. He stayed quiet, but his hand rested on Laurel's under the table. Days turned to weeks. Laurel began asking Daniel to join her in meetings, not to speak, just to listen. He sat in the back at first, then closer. Soon advisors asked his thoughts. He gave short answers, simple ideas, routes that save time, ways to protect supply lines better. They listened. The empire grew stronger. New ships used human designs mixed with valor and biotech. Borders stayed safe. Pirates stayed away. One evening, Leo and Daniel stood on the high balcony of their tower. The city lights glowed below like stars on the ground. 3 moons hung in the sky. Leo looked at him. I thought I married a shadow, she said, someone to fill a space. Instead, I married the light that saved us all. Daniel took her hand. You saved yourself, he said. I just stood beside you, she smiled. Then keep standing beside me. He nodded. Always. They stayed on the balcony until the moons moved higher. The wind was cool. The night was calm. Far away in dark space, a warlord named Varkas still woke from bad dreams. He heard a quiet voice on an old frequency. He saw a small station that would not fall. He never came back to Valoran space. On Valoria Prime, the quiet human and the princess lived on. Not in stories or songs, not with loud praise,